All right, so it's called the Great Devaluation, basically what's going on right now. This whole stimulus package thing, which, they've released, they said $2 trillion to, the businesses, right, and the people, right. So basically,
Let's go to the backyard. It's hot for this.
But there's it's a grand total of $6 trillion that they actually just printed, though, because hold on, I don't want to get too far. I got stuff in your car.
Okay.
It's a grand total of $6 trillion that they printed right now, and that's because $4 trillion is for the banks. But they're not publicizing that necessarily. They're publicizing the $2 trillion that everyone's gets to share. But basically, what that's does is, it's called the Great Devaluation, right? The more money exists, the less value it has, right? And every time we create money, especially for loans and things like that, it adds to the amount of money that exists, thereby lower, right? This is why deflation typically happens at a rate of about 3% per year. But I mean, the U.S. dollar already only has already lost more than 95% of its value since it was created, right? Mm-hmm. So if it falls at 3% per year usually, and we just printed all this freaking money, and we only have 5% of value left in the dollar, then when this is all done and over with, the US dollar has absolutely no value anymore. It's done, right? So the question is, what happens then, right? And honestly, it can go any way. Like, my eyes are all over the place right now, and there's so many people with so many agendas out there, all trying to, use this to accomplish their goals. And I'm really hoping, my friend, the White Hats, win, because their plan for this is to enact NESARA, right? What is NESARA? NESARA. The National Economic, I can't remember it all, and Reformation Act. Something in Reformation Act. Basically, that is for, among other things, debt forgiveness, right? So basically, it now forgives all of the debt that, exists throughout the American population. And the $87 trillion charge-off against the Queen of England a few months ago was to prepare for this, so that we have the money to forgive this debt with, right? And that happened because my friend Peter, the guy who actually holds the seal of St. Peter and actually holds the official title of ownership that the Vatican has over the entire world, has been sending out letters, especially to people like Trump, about what we're going to do in the future now that, he's in the seat of power instead of the false Pope, Pope Francis, because he's perfected title of the seal. And that's the literal legal documentation of he who actually has control over the titles of ownership, right? The 1213 Treaty, the Treaty of Paris, et cetera, right? He's a legal title owner of these. And so he sent a letter to President Trump, basically detailing what he wants to happen, which includes the enactment of NESARA, the charge against the Queen of England that happened a few months ago. This whole coronavirus wasn't exactly in that letter that he sent. It just, I guess, ended up being the staged event or red flag event, or maybe it's a real event. I don't know. But in any case, this happened to be the event that they're using to fulfill. I'm hoping they're trying to fulfill, and I'm thinking they're trying to fulfill it because they've already, did the $87 trillion charge-off against the Queen of England to have that money moved back here. So the very next step then is NESARA, right? The debt forgiveness. And then what follows that is complete political makeover of everyone basically that's in office. There's a lot of other things to it too. Just, Google NESARA and you'll see what else is in there. But I'm assuming that's where it's going, right? We're creating all of this money, we're giving out all of this free, loans right now, basically. And for what purpose? Because we're going to destroy the US dollar so that we have no choice in the matter but to enact Nasara. Because if the US dollar has absolutely no value, then the banks have absolutely no power, right? They only have power as long as the dollar has value. If the dollar doesn't have value, then it doesn't even matter if it's all paid back, right? Mm-hmm. It's completely debunked. It's completely the whole. The system has crashed. It's done. It's gone, right? It has to be replaced now, right? So the only solution is Nasara, debt forgiveness, right? And unfortunately, they want to enact it in such a way where they go back to the gold standard.
Yep.
And there's nothing I can do to stop that. They're going to do that. That's what Peter demanded in his letter as well. And I guess that's good as a temporary solution, but unfortunately, we're just going backwards in order to circle back around again. We really need to come up with a new system based on indirect and transient exchange rather than direct and immediate exchange. It's the only way to really do it, and that's the natural way to do it, because if you look all throughout nature, there is no direct and immediate exchange going on throughout nature. Everything throughout nature is indirect and transient exchange, and we need to emulate that within our economics, right, within our banking systems, right? And honestly, what that ultimately means is the banking system itself economics itself doesn't even actually need to exist, right? Resource distribution, sure, but money doesn't need to exist, so economics doesn't need to exist. But how do we transition to that? In order to transition to that, we actually do need to create a system that does use money, but in a different way, a way that utilizes indirect and transient exchange. And my idea for that is Holobank, and if you want to learn more about that, again, check out my books, The Millennial Handbook and The Big Picture, A New Philosophy for a New Society. And as always, if you haven't yet, please subscribe if you're interested. Make sure you click on the bell if you want to make sure you're getting notifications, and click like if you want to make sure this video reaches other people. Thank you very much. Have a good day.